Don't forget to subscribe!
Welcome back to our review series of Team Smash and Wilkins Holiday Specials. In this video, we'll all be reviewing
Charlie Brown's Christmas Specials.
Let's get started!
Spoiler alert!
It's Christmas time again, Charlie Brown is composed of several Christmas-themed storylines, some of which are taken directly from the Peanuts comic strip, and some of which are combined with similar storylines, and all the storylines are self-contained, and there is no overarching plot in this Christmas special. Linus Van Pelt attempts to ride down a snowy hill in a box, only to crash repeatedly. Charlie Brown tries to sell wreaths door to door, with a little bit of a success. His sister, Sally, offers her help, but doesn't have any more success than her brother. Finally, she comes up with a better way to show off the wreaths by having Snoopy pose with them on his nose. Linus passes a snowman that appears to be playing the flute, but it turns out that Woodstock is under the hat, providing the music that's heard. Peppermint Patty worries about her Christmas book report. First, she calls Charlie Brown, asking for suggestions on how to get out of it. So, she watches A Tale of Two Cities on TV so she won't have to read the book. But she's confused by the parts about the shampoo, the soap, and the coffee, which were only commercials. And then she tries to make an excuse by not reading the book by claiming her grandfather said, "If you read too many books, your head will fall off." So Marcy offers to help by holding onto Peppermint Patty's head. Then Peppermint Patty goes outside to build a snowman, claiming that she must give him some life. Lastly, she calls Marcy to ask her what book they are supposed to read during Thanksgiving vacation, only for Marcy to remind her that it's Christmas vacation and that Easter is coming. So, Peppermint Patty and Marcy attend a performance of George Frederick Handel's Messiah. Marcy's attempt to stand during the Hallelujah chorus results her being stuck in her chair. The next day, Peppermint Patty is writing a report about the experience, because since neither she nor Marcy knows Handel's first name, she says it was written by Joe Handel. Snoopy is playing the role of a corner Santa, except instead of ringing a bell, he uses a horn. Linus passes another musical snowman, and this time, he finds Woodstock and his friends as a string quartet underneath the hat. Sally Brown is writing an English theme about the true meaning of Christmas, but believes the true meaning is getting all you can get while the getting is good. It ignores Charlie Brown's insistence that Christmas is the joy of giving. She is then writing her Christmas lesson, but has to ask Charlie Brown how to spell his name, much to his chagrin. So he says, "I'm your brother and you don't even know how to spell my name?" So she ultimately puts his name down as Sam, since she knows how to spell that. Finally, while writing a letter to Santa Claus, she's inspired to write instead to his wife, "Merry Christmas," and congratulates her on deciding to keep her own name. Sally Brown discovers all the candy canes are missing from the Christmas tree, so Charlie Brown suggests she looks outside, but it turns out Snoopy and his best friends had taken the canes in order to perform a dance number. Linus tries to explain the true meaning of Christmas to Sally Brown, quoting the same passage that he used in A Charlie Brown Christmas, which we'll get to as the last special. However, Sally pays no attention to him, instead of worrying about more of her Christmas shopping, causing Linus to become frustrated. He then attempts to explain what a calling bird is. He's referring to the 12 days of Christmas, and he's referring to David's usage of the term in the Bible. However, Sally just complains that she'll get crazier if she gets socks again for Christmas, making Linus even more further frustrated than he already is. So he then shares about how Albert Schweitzer dreaded the thought of getting Christmas gifts because he hated having to write thank you notes. Once again, however, Sally misses the point because she has no idea who Albert Schweitzer really is. Charlie Brown wants to buy Peggy Jean a nice pair of gloves, but they cost only $25. After agonizing over whether or not to buy them from her, he attempts to sell an autographed Garagiola baseball, only to find no takers. So he then sells his entire comic book collection to get the money. However, Peggy Jean had already been buying a pair of new gloves by her mother, so Charlie Brown didn't give her the gloves. So he thinks, why give her something she already has? So he does manage to salvage the situation by giving the gloves to Snoopy. So they didn't even have a chance to go to waste, so Snoopy eventually got a gift that he enjoyed the most. The children participate in a Christmas play, where Marcy plays the Virgin Mary, Franklin gets the role of Gabrielle, Peppermint Patty reluctantly plays a sheep, though she forgets her line and ad-libs other animal sounds, much to the laughter of the audience, and Sally plays an angel who has to say the line hark, but inadvertently says hockey stick. Later, a boy named Harold Angel drops by Charlie Brown's house looking for Sally. When Lucy tries to force Linus out of a beanbag chair, he reminds her that on Christmas Day, she said, why do we have to be nice to each other only on Christmas? Why can't we be nice to each other every day? So, Lucinda gets pissed off and she storms off, leaving Linus free to settle back into the beanbag after saying joy to the world, thus ending It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown. At the start of the special, the audience is introduced to Rerun, and he sees some of the difficulties that he faces in his everyday life, riding on the back of his mother's bicycle, coping with his crabby sister Lucy, being embarrassed by his blanket-toting brother Linus, and getting accused of harassment when he asks a little pigtailed girl from his kindergarten class to come to Paris with him. So Rerun wishes that he had a dog, but his mother even has the tendency to refuse to get one. So not having a dog of his own, he asks Charlie Brown several times if he can play with Snoopy. At first, Snoopy agrees and the small boy and the dog happily play together. However, Snoopy seems to tire of Rerun's games and they suddenly stop seeing the boy. Rerun asks Charlie Brown if Snoopy has any brothers or sisters. He is told about Belle, Marbles, Olaf, Andy, and Spike. Rerun thinks that Spike might make a good pet, so Snoopy writes to Spike and asks him to visit, which Spike agrees and makes a long trip from his home outside his farm, carrying his jar with him. When Spike arrives, Lucy is shocked to see how skinny he is. She takes him in to nurse him back to health. However, after the dog recovers, Rerun's mother will not even allow him to stay in their house any longer. So Charlie Brown tries to find a new home for him, but none of the other children are willing to take him in. Spike had no other choice but to return to his home in the desert. Rerun is saddened to see Spike go. To cheer him up, Lucy enters Rerun in the annual Christmas pageant. While Rerun has only one line to recite, he nervously forgets about it in just moments before he was supposed to deliver it. After whispering his problem to Lucy, she tells him that he had better remember it or else she will slug him back home. Rerun suddenly remembers the line and delivers it in time. After Lucy wishes a Merry Christmas, Rerun thanks her, then faints. Rerun asks Charlie Brown if Snoopy will pull him on his sled. When the dog eventually agrees to come out and play, Rerun finds himself pulling Snoopy on the sled instead. He finally decides that dogs are too much trouble after all. At the end of the special, Charlie Brown breaks the fourth wall by saying, "Sometimes if I ask myself, when will it all end, then a voice comes to me that says, right after the credits." Thus ending I Want a Dog for Christmas, Charlie Brown.
Lucy is ice skating at the pond and mentions that her skating club is having a Christmas show this year. So she figures she could participate if she could get a partner, preferably one who is handsome and graceful. So Snoopy skates by, as if to ask for the position, but she tells him to go away. She tries to ask Schroeder, who is playing hockey right now, if he would be her partner, but he refuses. Snoopy skates by again and accidentally knocks her down. Later, Snoopy is working as a street corner Santa when Rerun shows up, demanding to know why Santa didn't bring him all the things he wanted last year. So Snoopy responds by barking angrily at him, as if he was saying that's none of your business. It is later seen playing Oh Susanna on an accordion, to which Lucy comments it isn't very Christmassy. So as she and Linus walk by upon hearing that, Snoopy quickly changes it to Christmas time is here, with Woodstock whistling in unison. Sometime later, Snoopy is sleeping on top of his doghouse and gets buried by the snow. Upon awakening, he kicks the snow off of his roof, only for it to land on the ferocious cat who lives next door. Charlie Brown suggests that Snoopy should try to make peace and show some holiday spirit to the cat. But when Snoopy tries to do so, the cat takes a ferocious swipe and leaves a Christmas tree-shaped hole in Snoopy's house. While Linus is trying to write a letter to Santa Claus, saying that he does not really want any presents and will not mind if Santa skips their house this year. So Lucy criticizes his letter and just crumbles it up, telling him to try once again. Linus starts writing another letter, asking Santa is his sleigh already, but then throws it away. So he starts on another letter, saying he is not sure what he wants for Christmas, suggesting maybe Santa should just at least send him a catalog. At school, Linus mentions to Charlie Brown that he kind of likes this new girl who sits behind him in class, but she keeps changing her name. When the girl in question says her name today is Jezebel, Linus points out to her that it was the name of King Ahab's evil wife in the Old Testament. So she says her name is now Susan. Linus starts working on his Christmas card list and asks the girl what her home address is. And to which she responds, "Aren't you kind of old for me?" Linus gets annoyed with her and is sent to the principal's office for his outburst. So later at lunchtime, the girl gives Linus her home address and says that her name is now Lydia and that last week it's Rebecca. Though she also likes being called Rachel. Linus decides he'll just address the girl as her on the card. A few days later, Lucy tells Linus that the Christmas card that he sent to the girl was sent back to him because the address was non-existent. So Linus becomes aggravated that the girl is just driving him so crazy. But when Lucy asks why he never bothers with her, Linus responds that she fascinates me. Sally announces to Charlie Brown that she is going to make paper airplanes for everyone this Christmas and then gives one to him very early. She then starts writing a letter to Santa, who she thinks is a woman named Samantha Claus. She includes a request for Samantha to bring Charlie Brown a new bicycle, but then takes that back after Charlie Brown jokes about the mistake. Later, Sally comes home from school, upset and embarrassed at everybody at school, all after her thinking Santa's name was really Samantha. So, you could probably tell how upset she was. After working on addressing her Christmas cards and being told the story The Three Wise Men by Linus, Sally goes out to fall down a Christmas tree. When Charlie Brown questions her about her plan, she says, "I don't know how to cut down a Christmas tree. When I look at it, I hope it'll just fall down." So she finds a small tree outside a neighbor's yard. When a kid who lives there questions what she's doing here, she says she's waiting for the tree to fall down. The kid laughs, saying that she can have the tree if it actually falls over, at which point it does. After Sally brings the tree home, the kid shows up at the front porch, demanding Sally to give the tree back to him. But she refuses, telling him to leave or else she will send Snoopy, who is currently decorating the tree, after him. So that night, Sally cannot sleep and asks Charlie Brown if she should return the tree, despite that she does not feel guilty, that is, until Charlie Brown tells her that tomorrow is Christmas Eve. The next morning, Sally and Snoopy arrive at the kid's house to bring the tree back to him, but he instead tells them that she is allowed to keep the tree. So later, Charlie Brown is helping Sally redecorate the tree, and he tells her about how their grandmother always hung her stocking up on Christmas Eve and would always find it full of apples and oranges. Sally grabs the sock out of her dresser drawer and notices how small it is. Observes, and she thinks to herself, "I can see it now, 3 grapes." She then decides to hang a lot of socks on the chimney. Lucy wishes Charlie Brown a Merry Christmas, saying she believes they should put aside their differences and try to be kind at this time of year. When Charlie Brown asks why they cannot be like this all throughout the year, she calls him a fanatic.
Later, when visiting Schroeder, Lucy gives him a list of things that you might want to give me, which he promptly throws away. Lucy then remarks that she does not want Schroeder to buy anything for her, because she knows that he hates her. When Schroeder points out that he has never said that, she loudly screams, "Then buy me something!" At home, Lucy gets Linus to write her letter to Santa as she dictates. So she claims to have been perfect all year, a claim that Linus immediately questions. She responds by punching him out and saying that she has an opening for a new secretary. She then starts by writing the letter herself, saying that she hopes Santa is in good health and telling him to drive safely. Later, when Lucy asks if Linus would like to know which things she would like for Christmas, he declines, saying that he wants his gift for her to be a surprise. So Lucy is pleased at that thought, but Linus apparently has no intention of giving her a present. Lucy insists to Linus that he has to give her a Christmas present, claiming that it says so in the Bible. Linus tells her that it doesn't actually say that in the Bible, but Lucy claims that he does have to give her a present anyway because the word sister is mentioned in the Bible.
Charlie Brown is working on a card for the little red-haired girl and asks Linus for advice. Sally then comes by and calls Linus her sweet baboo, much to his annoyance. After Linus complains about Sally always calling him that, Charlie Brown shows him the card is finished, which is signed, "Merry Christmas from your sweet baboo." Charlie Brown says that it's only a family expression. When Charlie Brown points out that they should leave a snack for Santa Claus, Sally initially suggests broccoli before deciding on putting a plate of cookies by the tree, and then hiding someplace so she can see Santa. A few minutes later, Sally thinks to have seen Santa, but it's actually Snoopy in a Santa outfit. So, on Christmas Eve, Sally wakes up Charlie Brown in the middle of the night, saying she was dreaming about sugar plums and needs to know what they are. He tells her that they are a type of hard candy. The next morning, she wakes up saying Santa didn't leave him anything, and then adds April Fool. Later, Charlie Brown receives a call from Lucy, asking if Snoopy likes the sweater he made for him. Charlie Brown then tells Sally that he ordered a toy bicycle for her doll set, but it never came, which is likely delivered to the wrong address. Sally angrily hopes that whoever got it likes it, but it is shown that Woodstock actually received the toy bicycle and he liked it the most, thus ending Charlie Brown's Christmas Tales. This is the best for last. Most of the Peanuts characters are standing on a frozen pond as the song Christmas Time is Here plays. On his way to join them, Charlie Brown confides in Linus as the holidays are approaching. He's starting to feel depressed despite all the presents and cards and tree decorating. So his depression and aggravation only gets exacerbated by the goings on in the neighborhood. Though his mailbox is empty of Christmas cards, and he tries sarcastically to thank Violet for the card she sent him, though Violet knows she did no such thing. So Charlie Brown shouts after Violet as she walks away, "Don't you even know sarcasm when you hear it?" Ultimately, Charlie Brown visits Lucy in her psychiatric booth. Under advice, he gets involved in directing a Christmas nativity play. So she also sympathizes with Charlie Brown about holiday depression, always getting a lot of stupid toys instead of what she wants, real estate. On the way to the theater, Charlie Brown is drawn to Snoopy, who is frantically and gleefully busy decorating his doghouse. When Charlie Brown demands an explanation, Snoopy hands him a flyer about the neighborhood Christmas lights in a display contest. As a result, Charlie Brown walks away in frustration at his dog having been bitten by the Christmas commercialization bug. So he then gets accosted by Sally, who wants Charlie Brown to dictate a letter to Santa. Sally ultimately asks Santa to just send money, particularly 10s and 20s, causing Charlie Brown to run away in exasperation and even his sister's secularization. Charlie Brown arrives at the rehearsals, but try as he might, he cannot seem to get control of the situation. The uncooperative children are more interested in modernizing the play with dancing and lively music. Charlie Brown, on the other hand, is determined not to let the play become secularized by focusing on the traditional side of the story. Thinking the play requires proper mood,
Charlie Brown decides that they need a Christmas tree. So Lucy takes over the crowd and dispatches Charlie Brown to get a big shiny aluminum tree, maybe painted pink, with Linus in tow. Charlie Brown sets off on this quest, but when they get to the tree market, Charlie Brown zeroes in on a small baby tree, which, with symbolic irony, it's the only real tree on the lot. Linus is reluctant about Charlie Brown's choice, but Charlie Brown is convinced that with decoration on it will be just right for the play. They return to the auditorium with the tree, only to be verbally castigated by everyone, especially Lucy, about the puny tree. Second-guessing herself, Charlie Brown begins to wonder if he knows what Christmas is about, loudly asking in despair. So Linus quietly says he can tell him and walks to the center of the stage to make his point. Under a spotlight, Linus quotes the second chapter of the Gospel of Luke, verses 8 through 14 from the King James Bible, in which angels from heaven tell a group of initially frightened shepherds about the birth of the baby Jesus, and instruct them as to where they can find the baby. So Charlie Brown now realizes that he does not have to let commercialism ruin his Christmas. With a newly found sense of inspiration, he quietly picks up the little tree and walks out of the auditorium, intending to take the tree home to decorate and show the others it will work in the play.
Good job! Good job!
On the way, he stops at Snoopy's decorated Lighthouse, which now sports a first prize blue ribbon for winning the display contest. Letting his dog's commercialism roll off his back, Charlie Brown takes an ornament off the doghouse and hangs it on the tree. But the ornament's weight was too much for the small branch, and it pulls to the ground, much to Charlie Brown's shock. So Charlie Brown, seeing the ornamented branch droop to the ground, he says, "I killed it! Oh, everything I touch gets ruined!" And he walks away without taking the ornament off, his head hanging in shame. Unbeknownst to Charlie Brown, the rest of the gang, also having heard Linus' recitative, begins to realize that they were a little too rough on Charlie Brown, and they quietly followed him from the auditorium. So Linus goes up to the little tree and gently props the drooping branch back to its upright position, ornament and all. And Linus says, "I never thought it was such a bad little tree." And then he wraps his blanket around the base of the trunk and adds, "It's not bad at all. Maybe it just needs a little love." So the rest of the children grab the other decorations off of Snoopy's doghouse and add them to the tree.
When they have finished, even Lucy concedes to Charlie Brown's choice, saying Charlie Brown is a blockhead, but he did get a nice tree. The children start humming the traditional Christmas carol, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." When Charlie Brown returns, he demands to know what is taking place. And when he sees what they have done to the tree, he could not believe his eyes, and all the children shout, "Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!" At this point, the children, joined by Charlie Brown, begin singing the carol in earnest as the credits roll and the snow begins to fall, thus ending a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Did you know that?
The original VHS release for the special mistakenly identified Peggy Jean as the little red-haired girl in the description. Further adding to the confusion, the special depicts Peggy Jean as a redhead when she is actually a brunette in this strip. This is the second of the 3 specials animated overseas at Wang Film Productions and the Cuckoo's Nest Studios, and the first to credit them. The storyline, which Linus sleds down a hill in a cardboard box, comes from the December 13th and 14th, 1991 strips, and the strip from January 26, 1992. A storyline in which Charlie Brown wants to buy gloves for Peggy Jean started on November 29, 1990 and ended in December 13, 1990. Later, the same series of strips reappeared from the 3rd of December, 1997, 10 days later all the way to December 13, 1997. A storyline in which Peppermint Patty talks to Charlie Brown about avoiding her Christmas book report ran from December 20th to December 23rd, 1976. A storyline in which Peppermint Patty and Marcy go see George Frederick Handel's Messiah ran from December 18th from December 20th, 1985. So a storyline in which Peppermint Patty has to play a sheep in the Christmas play ran from December 17th to December 22nd, 1984, and December 23rd to December 25th, 1988. A A storyline in which Sally Brown plays an angel in the Christmas play ran from December 15th to December 24th, 1983. A storyline in which Charlie Brown is trying to sell Christmas wreaths with Sally Brown offering her help ran from December 14th from December 24th, 1982. And a storyline in which Snoopy plays a street corner Santa with a horn ran in from December 5th to December 7th, 1991. Material from an additional strip from December 23rd, 1989 was added to the scene as well. And most of the comic strips were previously adapted from Sally Sweet Baboo of the Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show episode titled The Play. And this is the first special with music by David Benoit and the first time music since Vince Guaraldi was used since It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. At 18 minutes, this is the shortest Peanuts special to date, and this is the 4th Christmas-themed TV special. This is Rerun's 4th television appearance. This is the 7th time Charlie Brown says, "Why can't I have a normal dog like everybody else?" in a TV special. And this is the 2nd TV special in which Rerun is seen riding his mother's bicycle. The first one being It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. Several scenes of Rerun playing with Spike are based on comic strips in which Rerun's interactions were actually with Snoopy. Several quotations said by Rerun while riding on his mother's bicycle are recycled from Snoopy Team Manager segment Rerun. In the original Christmas play of the comic strip, in the end, Linus is the one who keeps whispering to Lucy, not Rerun. And the special is the 2nd time Snoopy's brothers, Marble, Spike, and Andy appear in a Christmas special, as most likely a Peanuts special, with the first one being 1991 Snoopy's Reunion. His sister Belle is also mentioned but not seen. The scene in which Lucy fattens up Spike is previously used in his Snoopy's Brother Spike episode of the Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show. And this is the last Peanuts special to be released on VHS and DVD by Paramount. And as for the telescript of this special, it was transcribed from Schultz's other strips. When Linus says his big sisters are the crabgrass on the lawn of life, it was Snoopy's original opinion of cats in the comic strips. The music for Christmas Time Is Here from A Charlie Brown Christmas can be heard in this special. This special has been repeated at least once every year since its original broadcast, making it the longest running animated TV special in history. And it received 2 Emmy Award nominations, one for a special classification of individual achievement and one for Outstanding Children's Program, which it had won. And this is the only special which Schroeder's piano sounds like a toy piano when he is asked to play Jingle Bells by Lucy. He first plays it like a conventional piano, then an organ, and finally a toy piano on one finger. A running gag in this special is that whenever someone says "that's it," someone else jumps in the alarm. And this is the first of 2 specials in which Charlie Brown simply called Charlie by one of the other characters. On this occasion, it is Lucy. He would be simply referred to as Charlie again in Charlie Brown's All-Stars in the 1969 feature film A Boy Named Charlie Brown. Snoopy's doghouse appears to be blue instead of red. The original broadcast preempted the Munsters, and the original title font of the word Christmas was probably adapted from the comic strip from December 25th, 1963. The original broadcast featured 2 very brief scenes that included references to Coca-Cola. In the opening, immediately after the title screen where Charlie Brown crashes into a tree after being tossed into the air by Snoopy, Linus crashes into a sign that reads, "Brought to you by the people in your town who bottled Coca-Cola." An alternate take, in which the sign instead of a danger was made and used in early promos advertising the special. But it is unknown what happened to this version. And during the closing credits, following the United Features Syndicate credit, "Merry Christmas from the people who bottled Coca-Cola" fades in. Both scenes were removed during the original broadcast as a result of subsequent FCC laws precluding sponsor plugs in the context of children's programs. As a result, all current prints, including CBS 1997 remastered print, it quickly fades out after the opening title and the singing in the closing credits fades out. The can that the gang throws snowballs at has always been a generic can, even in the original broadcast. The removal of this particular scene was part of the edits done by CBS when it aired the special during the early 1990s until it was remastered in 1997. As a result, It spawned a myth which the reason why it was edited out, it was that the can was actually a Coca-Cola can. So when they first saw the show, CBS executives were horrified at the idea of an animated Christmas special with a blunt message. So they also strongly objected to the fact that the show had no canned laughter. A version with a laugh track was produced but later discarded after the success of the broadcast version. Kathy Steinberg, who did the voice of Sally Brown, had not yet learned to read at the time of production, so she had to be fed her lines, often a word or syllable at a time, which explains the rather choppy delivery of the line, "All I want is what I have come to me. All I want is my fair share." Bill Melendez tried to talk Charles Schultz out of the biblical references, especially Linus's speech in his special. So Schultz reportedly won him over by saying, "If we don't do it, who will?" As a result, Linus' recitation was hailed one of the most powerful moments in the highly acclaimed special. Linus' speech about the true meaning of Christmas is actually like Luke 2:8-14 from the King James translation of the Bible. In addition to the soundtrack album containing music by the Vince Guaraldi Trio, a Disney read-along record was produced, which recreated the special as a radio program-like audio experience. This was maybe before the prevalence of home video. The book and record set recreated almost the entire program, with only some minor cuts, primarily musical, and 2 making-of documentaries have been made. The first is a making of a Charlie Brown Christmas, which was hosted by Whoopi Goldberg, and aired following ABC's initial airing of the special in 2001. And the second is a completely unrelated documentary that was created for Warner Brothers Entertainment's 2008 Deluxe Edition's DVD release. And television executives figured that the show would be a rating failure, but instead it was watched by half of the American viewing public. And with such spectacular ratings, those same executives soon contacted the producers for a whole series of Peanuts specials that would run for decades. Over the decades, the special was increasingly shortened for time to more commercials until the viewing public protested vigorously. When the broadcast rights were purchased by ABC TV Network, the network compromised for an hour-long time slot for the special to be broadcast uncut for the time, with padding out the remaining time with initially the making of a Charlie Brown Christmas and then Charlie Brown's Christmas Tales in the subsequent years. Of course, this arrangement also allowed the network to sell twice as many commercial spots for a highly rated annual rerun. Producer Lee Mendelson wrote the lyrics for Vince Guaraldi's Christmas Time Is Here music, and his son Glenn, whom, along with his then 6th grade class, sang the vocals. The production ended 10 days after the special premiere. None of the children who voiced the characters received credits at the end. When A Charlie Brown Christmas won an Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program in 1966, only Lee Mendelson and Bill Melendez were called up to accept the award. But they made sure that Charles Schultz was with them to give the acceptance speech. Schultz's speech simply went, Charlie Brown is not used to winning, so we thank you. On October 1st, 2015, the U.S. Postal Service issued a set of 10 postage stamps with various scenes from the TV special in order to celebrate its 50th anniversary. And not long after the animation was finished, Tracy Stratford's voice broke, which is why she never voiced Lucy in another Peanuts special. When the completed special first premiered to CBS executives, they promptly hated it. Their major complaints were that the pace was too slow, the jazz music didn't work out with the special's tone, and the animation was too simple, as well as other things. However, the special had to air, as CBS had already scheduled and promoted it. As Lee Mendelson later said, I really believe that if it wasn't already scheduled to air the following week, there was no way they were going to broadcast the special. And the rock music group Jefferson Airplane wanted autographs from all of the kids who actually played the role as the characters. At one point, Lucy mocks Linus' security blanket, asking what he plans to do with it when he's older, to which Linus smugly replies, maybe I'll turn it into a sports coat. In one Peanut strip series, Linus tried to kick his blanket habit by giving it to Snoopy to keep it away from Linus, and Snoopy ended up turning the blanket into a sports coat. In 1993, Knott's Berry Farm gave out free VHS copies of the special during the holiday season to children during a special event. The VHS tapes did not contain any previous promo, studio logos, or even FBI warnings, because it was just the full, unedited special. The short was watched by over 15 million viewers when it premiered in 1965. Patty in the special is not Patricia Peppermint Patty Raychart, and the latter first appeared several years later in the strip. The former was phased out gradually, disappearing completely by the end of the 1970s, despite being one of the 4 original Peanuts characters. And this special helped bring an end to the brief fad of aluminum Christmas trees, which had been going on since 1958 when it portrayed them in a negative light as part of over-commercialism of the holiday. The idea was given by John Allen, who worked for an ad agency for Coca-Cola, as he called Lee Mendelson. He originally saw the documentary that was cancelled to be broadcast because he was unable to sell it. So, he eventually asked Mendelson if the producers of Peanuts had thought about making a Christmas special. Mendelson admittedly lied, saying, "Of course we have." Allen then asked for an outline of the special to be presented in 4 days. After this conversation, Mendelson promptly called Charles Schulz and said to him, "I just sold a Charlie Brown Christmas." Schulz asked, "What's that?" And Mendelson said, "That's a new show you and I have to come up with this weekend." Mendelson later recalled a long pause of silence before Schulz responded very casually, "Okay, we can do it." Schulz and Melendez were notably ashamed of the artwork in the special and were surprised with the fact that the special had been a hit for 30 years. "The continued success of the special has surprised me as much as anyone," Schulz said in the December 2nd, 1995 issue of TV Guide. "A lot of the drawings were terrible, which animation director Bill Melendez and I were still ashamed of. And this was the first of the holiday-themed Peanut specials produced by Lee Mendelson and Bill Melendez. It's still their most favorite special. The least famous was probably the 1976's It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown, or 1984's abysmal effort, It's a Flash Beagle, Charlie Brown, which featly attempted to steal some of the magic from the 1983 breakdancing musical film Flashdance. The success of this Emmy-winning special opened the door for its first feature film, the 1968 classic A Boy Named Charlie Brown. Apple TV bought the rights to the Peanuts specials in 2020, and therefore 2020 was supposed to be the first year since the Charlie Brown Christmas premiered that it would not air on free TV. However, after an outcry from the public for removing the programs from free TV, the specials, beginning with the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and later this special, began airing on PBS in November and December 2020. Sponsored by Apple.
Now you know!
So we have Charlie Brown's Christmas specials a piece 6 out of 5.
The special's rating is
A perfect 11 out of 10. It's a perfect score.
Oh yeah, next time!
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. What do you think? If you appreciated it, please be sure to smash that like button, and be sure to follow my social media platforms in the description below, and the Team Lifelight's fandom channel. Please be sure to leave a comment below, and give us your open-minded thoughts. We here at Team Lifelight's Fandubs do not condone harassment, violence, or trolls allowed, or otherwise, Red Hulk from Comedy Central's The Red and Stimpy Show will haunt you down to the ends of the Shadow Realm. So please be sure to subscribe to our channels and click the notification bell. You'll never miss a video the second it goes live on YouTube and Google. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Happy holidays, and have a happy new year, and best wishes for all.